Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, most of you are dead trading zombies. Give me a second. I'm going to explain this. Most of you shouldn't be here because you just don't think the way that I think. You can go find somebody else that can shine the light on you. But for people that are assembled my way, that are compiled my way, that think my way, I can give you an edge. And I don't say that lightly. So when I say that, the majority of traders are trading to their dead ancestors. This has something to do with how you think about things. For some of you that are not mathematicians, when you come up with an estimate of something, you can go in two different directions. There's like Bayesian theory, and there's frequentism. Frequentism is almost as basic as saying the amount of events that I do, I will divide it by that number of events. Versus Bayesian says, yes, I know about the events, and I know about the amount of times I've done that event, but there's something else that I know about the event that will give me an edge. You can think of this as intuition. So most people, when they're trading through frequentism. They're seeing something and they're trading that way. Someone is telling them something and they're not going into detail about it. They're like blind zombies just doing that thing. And there's other people that kind of squint their eyes when they're watching or learning something. People like that are assembled closer to rogue. You're more like a Bayesian type of person. So how do you even get started with trading, right? Most of what you do in life is based off of the perception of details of which you're not too sure what that means, but you act it out. For example, when you hope about something, that hope turns into desire, and that desire turns into an imagination. And for most of you, you just leave it there. You don't go into any further detail. So when I post lots of memes and concepts to you, I'm not actually talking to you, I'm talking to something behind you, of which we'll go into detail, not here, but later on. But once you make it into the imagination stage, you have the choice of completing a vision of what you thought was going to happen. You have the opportunity to abstractly interpret what you thought was going to happen. And for some of you, you won't even criticize the event that you perceived, but you'll try to perfect it. So lots of you are trying to perfect something you know nothing about. And the amount of permutations will outweigh your perfection, so you'll end up losing money because you're in an iterative loop of which you're unaware of, which means you're wrapped around there until you lose your money. So I just gave you three things, right? Your vision, an abstract perception, and the quest to perfect something you know nothing about. So symbolically, you can think of it this way. You're in reality. You're also intertwined with your imaginary conceptual indications of what you think reality is. Listen to what I said. Reality and the imaginary perception of reality. Those two things are intertwined together. And the thing that you're not used to is the absence of the thing that's also intertwined with it. Let me give you an example. When you think about something, at the same time, you're thinking about the thing of which it isn't. So when you see a cup, you've already thought about everything that it is not. It's not a plate, it's not a fork, it's not a spoon, it's not a knife, but you do that unconsciously. So you've got symbolism, reality, and this imaginary perception all intertwined together. Now, how do I take this weird abstract concept and demonstrate this in the market? So the thing that you do resonates with who you are around. So if your father is always critical of you. I mean, always. You can never please your father. You can never make him smile. Even if you do your best, you can look in his face and see he's not pleased with your performance. You are going to have trouble making choices in the market. Because once you make that choice and it's wrong, you're not just feeling pain. Remember the three things I talked about. Your father lives in the symbolic imaginary portion of that three-dimensional intertwined section that I talked about. So it's not just the pain. Unconsciously, you also see your father telling you, I told you you weren't good enough. Like, you don't realize this is happening. And it doesn't matter if you don't understand, but this is what is happening. Right? It's here. Let me take it into this direction. It's always in threes. Almost. Before you see something, you have to conceptualize it. If you've never seen it, you can't conceptualize it. Once you see it, then you can conceptualize what you just saw. Once you just saw the thing that you couldn't conceptualize, you can now conceptualize the thing without having to see it. Does that make sense to you? Right? It's almost, it's a physical being, and then you see the representation of the physical thing that you haven't seen before. And once you see that thing, you can tap into the imagination portion of your cognition, and you can bring that thing into the real world without it physically having to be there. Right? That's also the reason why you're afraid to do things without even doing it. Listen to me. You're afraid to do things without having to do it because you've already imagined the consequences of doing the thing. So you won't do the thing unless the results outweigh the consequences of failing at the thing. Does that make sense to you guys? Yes? Remember, your passion is wrapped around your reason, and your reason is wrapped around your passion. Talk to you later.